I'm sure we all know and we can all see that this thing of the MK party infiltrating other political parties is now predictable and it's no more a shock now. It's like, oh, that's what they do. And it doesn't benefit the people who are being used as pawns from different political parties because their integrity gets destroyed, their reputation gets destroyed. They get to be branded as traitors, get to be branded with different names, sellout snakes. It might not be effective now because the politics is still brewing, but the reputation in the future, everyone will know you that, oh, Wena, you are Jacob Zuma's puppet. He once used you to destroy your own brother and he didn't say it. So, shout out to Mr. SS. He was exposing certain things and certain tactics about President Jacob Zuma and how FLOYD Shivambu was just a pawn, collateral damage. It was used by President Jacob Zuma to expose that FLOYD Shivambu is easily bought. But listen here.
They also had people inside the EFF, and those have publicly admitted that that's what they were doing. So in the build-up to the 2024 election, some of the accumulation of building materials for the MK was about stripping the EFF and stripping the ANC and take that building material to build the MK party. It was not about going to the base of unattended or neutral floating voters and building a party. So they've not built a party. They actually went and stripped and used that building material. So I say that Zuma, coming from the Secret Service, the world of security, introduced the concept of a double agent. So if you would have looked at things like what was happening in the EFF, and you can apply the same to the ANC, we may not have the list at hand, but in the EFF case, the list has disclosed itself. FLOYD Shivambu had been placed by the EFF mistakenly in charge of KZN, and that's why they suffered the most serious losses. And then he himself crossed over to join the EFF. Dalimpofu was there. He was negotiating for the liquidation of the EFF party. So that is how this first phase, which was actually very shocking to those two parties and to maybe a certain degree IFP and others, it stunned a lot of people. But it was in the methods that they use and what it is that they actually got. What they got are goods that they stripped from other existing parties. This is not original political entrepreneurship. It's a stripping exercise. Then we have seen the characteristics and the features, the prominent features of Jacob Zuma of instability, leadership instability, management instability. It may well be that by now we've had 6 Secretary Generals of the MK party, one after the other, FLOYD being the latest. Not to say that these were people who didn't have a baggage of scandals behind them. FLOYD even himself comes with a VPS baggage. We've now also seen the sort of flexibility around who becomes the Treasurer General of the party. We've seen them in KZN when Willis Mkhunu jumped ship from the ANC to be in charge of the convening the province. When he comes over there, the people who are controlling the money, they say, no, you're not getting this money for running the province. In Mpumalanga, when Mkhwebane came in there, the previous convener is in court with it and has won the court case in as far as I'm aware. So that idea that you can have a finance minister on Thursday, when you wake up maybe on Friday is fired, a new one is appointed on Monday, the one was fired as a weekend special, and then you have another one. That type of bioscope or movie is playing itself out in Umkhonto Wesizwe, which is the leadership instability, which is part of what Zuma does, and management instability. And Zuma says nothing wrong with that. And there's all kinds of stories to cover up. And lastly, FLOYD had a tough time explaining why Zuma must be allowed, especially to have dual membership of the ANC and the MK party.
What do you make of that?
It's the same idea. He wants to continue the same idea of confusing the supporters, the voters that support the ANC. That is actually the messiah of the ANC. So if they support him, they are supporting the messiah of the person who's really, really going to save the ANC. It's a strategy for him to get more votes for MKP, weaken the ANC, and if ever a day comes for the ANC to negotiate anything with the MK, all the cards will be with him.
Okay, so there's sort of three schools of thought, I suppose, on this tactic. Either it works. Secondly, maybe this is the extent to which it will work.
Yeah.
Or thirdly, it'll be a complete flop. So in other words, it either grows, stays where it is, or collapses. Do you have a particular feeling as to which way it'll go?
Yeah, I do. I think that, for instance, on the stripping of the EFF, I think that game is over. It's not going to happen again. So, because the EFF has geared itself to deal with that exactly. The ANC is coming up with stories, and they are often quite poor in strategy design, worse in implementation. In the provinces where they've been hit hard, which is KZN and Gauteng, they came up with a story of reconfiguration. So to me, that would be a story of saying how do they react to these tactics of Jacob Zuma and protect themselves. As to whether they'll succeed, it's another thing. But as you know, negative campaigning is also more powerful than positive campaigning. In other words, if I campaign negatively against you, it's more damaging to you. So the Mbalula has started that, to campaign openly against Jacob Zuma and the MK party, which is important to do from the ANC's perspective, to start to neutralize. This guy is not one of us, he's not helping us, etc., etc. But you also need to do the groundwork, to build your branches on the ground, etc., etc. So I do not think that in next year, 2026, local government elections, the effect of MK will be as dramatic as it was in the 2024 elections. Now, where I have some concerns is certain specific areas, such as the eThekwini metro, because I think Zuma is eyeing that metro, and the Philani Mavundlas and others are likely to help him. He might even be able to win it, only because of the strength of the ANC to be able to, on the ground, counter Zuma. They have plenty of opportunity to do that now. They need, the cards are open, and they need to take those steps. But in terms of momentum, I don't think that strategy of Zuma, of double agents and all these things, is going to have any more momentum. I think the momentum is gone.
Yeah, it gave them a great start, but it now may run out of steam. So, in sort of looking at within MK, it looks like they're putting their entire future in the hands of an 82-year-old.